know how to tell stories automatically. Very often we start with a character in a place, and then we move to where the problem is, and then we talk about what happened next, and then what happened next, and there was a sequence of events, and this is how they felt about it, and there's a moment of reflection. Like, that's how we tell stories normally to one another. And if in your media work you can tap into that fundamental way that we just tell stories, and I know that stories are often more complicated than what you can tell over a beer to someone, but if you just start in that place, magic may happen. When I work with students and they're struggling with figuring out how to tell a story, the first thing I will say to them is, tell it to me now. Just talk to me now. Or, tonight, go home, have a beer, have 2 beers, and talk to someone about your story, and notice how you tell the story. Before we took pictures, before the written word, before tweeting, we were telling stories to each other in sound. I would just start with that big concept. When thinking about telling a story, focus hard on the sound. If for no other reason, then that's how we've been telling stories to one another for thousands of years. It's elemental. It's fundamental to who we are.
One thing that I think not just filmmakers, but everyone, including me, forgets regularly is how central sound is to our experience of the world. When we go travel somewhere, we take lots of pictures and we tell people what a place looked like, but they don't really feel like they're there, and a big part of that is because they didn't experience it the way we did, hearing sound all the time, even when we're not conscious of it. So I think that's why sound is so, so important for a story. As a filmmaker, you would never go to, if you're documenting something, you would never go set up your tripod in the corner of the room and press record and say, okay, got it, I'm just gonna stay here and wait till the end of the night and then we'll have what we need. You're getting in there and you're getting in people's faces because you know that you need to get lots of different interesting shots, and you're thinking tight, medium, wide, tight, medium, wide. And audio is the same way. You talked about mic placement, you wanna get up close and you wanna get all of the richness and detail that you can in sound. But you also want to get the medium and the wide. So you want to get the sound of a clinking glass, really like that clear sound, and then you also want a sound of a conversation, but then you want a sound of the entire room. And then that gives you lots of options later to do things creatively and pick out certain sounds, layer them as you're mixing things later.
I'm very much in favor of using music in telling a story. It's a tool that you can use. Scoring a piece helps with transitions, moving from one scene to another, helps with the passage of time. It can underscore the feeling of something. I always worry, though, that when I put music into a radio piece, that I'm using it as a crutch, that I'm using it as a way for me, because I think music is in some respects like emotional fascism. It like tells you exactly how you're supposed to feel, and you have no say over the matter.
The other thing that I also try to suggest to writers as well as people in the mix is don't give us something that's wall to wall, that doesn't let the rest of the scene breathe. So in symphonic music, even if it is a violin concerto, you're not going to hear the violin from beginning to end. You know, the orchestra may introduce, then it goes to a solo, then a duet, then maybe the woodwinds, and so there's spaces. And we look at the post-production mix, the multi-track mix the same way. It's like, is it all loud, 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 blah, 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 blah. I mean, if that's what's on screen, obviously we have to support what's on screen. But looking at it from a director's point of view, you have to let your ears relax a minute to get the intimacy so that the next big bang actually has impact. If it's big bang all the way through, eventually your ears just kind of fatigue and it all starts to sound like mush.
There's the factual truth of something that you're reporting on and telling a story about, and there's also the felt truth, the emotional truth of things. And that comes through in the way in which something is written. It comes through in the way things are spoken. And so I'm always on the hunt for both the factual truth and the felt truth. And I think that what Orson Welles did so well was report what was allegedly the factual truth, right, but also captured the felt truth of things as well.
There's a moment where your reporter on the scene, who's looking at these Martians, he gets up closer, He starts to scream and his mic goes out. And there's like 2 seconds or 3 seconds of silence. And that must have scared the crap out of people because this voice of reason, this voice of credibility, this voice of truth suddenly disappears. And that sonic moment is so your mind is painting all these pictures. Did he get vaporized? Did he get shot? Did he get smashed? What happened to him? All we know is the guy that we trusted that was leading us around is gone.
When you have a certain sense taken away from you, you're really just like super intensely hearing what's happening, and you have to fill in the rest with your imagination, which is one reason sound is so intimate, because in order to understand the story, you have to be imagining it, and that makes you participate in it in a really intimate way.